Welcome to My Life and Coasters, where in today's video I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about going to Europa Park in Germany. So in this video I'm going to talk about how to visit the park best, how to spend your day there, and also how to travel to the park. I'll be going through costs, just my general tips. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So the first one I'm going to go into is tips for basically when you're starting to look at booking a trip to Europa Park. So the first thing then, if you're planning a trip really, is just deciding when you're going and how you're going to get there. Lots of options for getting out to Europa Park in Germany. Really there's 4 options. You've got the main one I'd say, which is flying. Lots of places to fly to, I'll get to that in a minute. You could also drive from the UK just using one of the ferries or the Eurotunnel. I'd say probably the Eurotunnel is going to be best. You could also take a coach. I know Flixbus offer services from London to Europa Park with a connection in Frankfurt. Probably not the best, that one, because it's going to be very long. And you could also take the train. Obviously you'd be using Eurostar, and then yeah, some like high speed services out in mainland Europe. So yeah, out of all those, I chose to fly with Ryanair because I live so close to London Stansted Airport. So many cheap flights, that was going to work out best for me. So there's really a few main airports you can fly into. I flew into Basel Airport, which is technically in France, or you can fly into Karlsruhe, Baden-Baden. Ryanair fly to both from London Stansted, lots of flights there, pick them up really cheap, like we're talking £12.99 each way. So nothing at all really. Then when you get over there, you're just going to have to take a couple of buses and trains. I have got a travel vlog on how to do it, but I'd recommend just booking through the Deutsche Bahn website if you're flying. If you don't live near Stansted, you can also fly to Karlsruhe and Basel from a few different airports in the UK. So once you've decided that, then really the next thing is going to be deciding when you want to go. Obviously if you've already got specific dates, do that, and just how cheap you really want to do it. If you're doing it on a budget like we did, I'd just let dates be dictated by how much it's going to be and just go at the cheapest dates, which is exactly what we did. We ended up flying out on a Wednesday, flying back on a Saturday. So yeah, it's nice and easy to travel to really. Prices, I'll get to that at the end of the full breakdown for what we paid. You are going to need somewhere to stay. You cannot do it as a day trip in my opinion. I have done some places as a day trip from the UK. You're going to need some accommodation. Now it depends sort of on your price range here. Unfortunately, the most budget option is going to be the least convenient. So basically if you're looking to spend quite a lot, and maybe it's like a big holiday or something, then Europa Park have plenty of on-site accommodation. Just look at the Europa Park website. They have hotels, they have like a camping sort of caravan village, they also have a campsite. So many options, but it is going to be quite a lot. Now your second option is going to be to stay in the local town of Rust. That you can literally walk to the park from there. You've also got Ringsheim, which has got a shuttle bus to the park, or you can go for the cheapest option, which is cheapest by a long way, and works out less than £40 a night. Yeah, and that is going to be staying at a Eurocamp in Hubblesheim, which is not far from the park. It's about 11 kilometres, so like 7 or 8 miles. Not too bad at all. Just went on the Eurocamp website. It's not open all year, so it's only if you're really going in like between, I think it's April and October, that's going to work for you. Yeah, nice and cheap. The accommodation slept, I think it's 8 people or 6 people, and it was only £108 for 3 nights. So yeah, that accommodation's really good value, especially if you're getting say 6 or 8 people in there. Then if you split it between all of you, it really works out next to nothing. I think if I did a trip in the future, I'd maybe look at staying a bit more local, because the travel there, it did take over an hour to get there on public transport to Europa Park. But yeah, what can you do really? It was nice and cheap. It would cost about €3 each way from camping thing in Hubblesheim, which is a Eurocamp, to Europa Park every day. So yeah, next onto the park then. So just be aware, if you're booking Europa Park, it's one of the most expensive parks you can visit for ticket prices. Yeah, just a one-day ticket is going to cost you over £50 if for like an adult or a child. I think it's over the age of 13 or something. Not 100% sure on that one, about the ages and stuff. But anyway, if you're like a teenager or an adult, it's going to cost quite a lot. They do 2-day tickets, although by the cost of buying a 2-day ticket compared to a 1-day ticket, you're not saving that much. Like you're saving £4 on the entire trip really. As how long you're going to need at Europa Park, do not underestimate that park. It's massive. You're going to need quite a long time. I had 2 days, which in my opinion was not enough. If I had 1 day there, it would barely be enough just to see the sort of massive stuff and take a bit of the park in. So yeah, if you're going there, definitely try and do 2 days if you can. And you are just going to have to probably go onto the Europa Park website and buy tickets direct. There isn't really any other cheaper way of doing it. I just book it direct because you know it's safe. Obviously, you know it's not like a scam or anything, so I'd recommend just booking it direct through Europa Park. They don't sell 3-day tickets unless you're staying on site, so it doesn't really matter though. You can just buy a 2-day ticket, then like a third day ticket, just like as a single day, if that makes any sense. So yeah. Tickets, I'd say you're going to be looking at about £50 a day roughly. It does sort of go up and down a little bit. So that is the basic sense of planning a trip. Obviously, I don't think there's any way of doing like a package holiday or anything out there. So I get it can be a bit daunting booking a trip like fully separately for the first time. I do have one recommendation: get like a travel insurance that will cover you for like trip cancellation and stuff. So next, it's my tips and tricks for Europa Park. Now, I can't go massively into detail here because even after the end of the trip, I wasn't that sure on it, on what I was doing. I still sort of felt like a new park to me. My number one tip is going to be arrive early at the park. Obviously, it's the first thing you do in the day. Just get there early. They tend to open the gates from about around 8 AM, which I know is very early for a park to open their gates, and the first ride as well, which is Voletarium. I got there at 8:20 on my second day. I didn't do it on the first day because we travelled there the day before. But yeah, just get there early because you can get so much done in the first about 2 hours. Obviously, I got straight on Voletarium, which is the park's flying theatre. Then managed to get like 3 or 4 coasters in before 11 o'clock. So yeah, really good. Recommend getting there early. The second one is get a map. They've got paper maps at the entrance. Use the online map. It's a massive, massive park. I know sometimes it's fun exploring a park, but I'd just recommend looking at a map, maybe studying it a bit, just sort of getting a rough idea of how you want to plan your day. My third tip then, sort of relates to the second one, is going to be wear comfy shoes and just make sure you're comfortable for the day. It's a lot of walking, hell of a lot of exercise. You're going to be probably on your feet from 8 in the morning to at least like 6 in the evening. So yeah, I just recommend you got like comfy shoes on, you're warm or whatever, or if it's a hot day, you've got shorts, because yeah, it can be a really long day. My fourth tip then is if you see a queue, just join it. It's probably not as bad as you think. Europa Park's queues just move super, super quickly. Like, in my opinion, something that would look like a 2-hour queue at a park, say like Thorpe Park or Alton Towers, is probably less than half an hour at Europa Park. Their throughput, like the operations are phenomenal. You shouldn't wait that long for any attractions, even if the park is heaving. So that's a really good thing about Europa Park. They don't sell any fast track, so which I'm in support of. I don't really agree with the whole sort of fast track system at parks. They do have a free virtual line, which is very limited, but if you can get virtual line slots, then I imagine it works out very well. Although I would recommend checking out the main like queue lines for rides because they're very well themed. My last tip then is just going to be take drinks into the park because water was like over €4 just for a little bottle, which is very expensive. If you don't know, that's like £3.40. So yeah, we just went to a local supermarket, got lots of drinks and took them in. Food isn't too bad. You can get hot dog for €2.90, churros for €4.50. So yeah, food's not too bad. Some of the places are quite a lot, but yeah, there is some cheap food options available. It just depends sort of what you like. So yeah, that's it for how you're going to travel to the park and basically what you want to do when you're there. But now I'm going to move on to costs, so everything it costs for our trip. So yeah, that is it for costs. I'm now going to go into a bit more detail on what happened and why we had to spend more than we were originally planning. So I originally booked all of our train travel, our flights, our accommodation online, had it all planned out, and 2 weeks before we were due to travel, the people who I'd booked the train through, Deutsche Bahn, had basically sent me an email to say that due to a timetable change or a few train cancellations, our journey was not going to be possible at the times, and it would have basically meant we'd have got to our accommodation at like 2:30 in the morning on the day we arrived, which I was not interested in doing. and that basically meant we just had to totally forget about the original flights we booked, which were to Baden-Baden. So yeah, I cancelled the train tickets there and then I basically decided we weren't going to fly into Baden-Baden, and I just booked new flights to Basel Airport. Now, that wasn't a train cancellation, that journey would have still been possible. However, our flights, it would have meant we'd have spent about 4 hours travelling, just like on replacement buses and stuff. So yeah, that wouldn't have been ideal. I'm glad we did the option we did. And yeah, just booking new flights to Basel where we could get the train connection in, it was a bit earlier in the day. Yeah, it only cost like an extra £35 just because of how cheap Ryanair's flights were. Unfortunately, you won't be able to cancel Ryanair flights, I believe, unless you get like the Family Plus option, but it's just worth doing basic fare if it's cheap enough, and it's not too bad. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the videos from Europa Park. There's been a couple of videos, a couple of vlogs, a couple of travel vlogs. Yeah, and that's going to do it, so thank you guys for watching this series, and I'll see you in the next one.